Welcome to the part 2 of our throughput, and here we deal with the examinable questions. So let's take our first illustration, which is our illustration 2. Illustration 2 here is about let me write it well. Illustration 2, which is about WR Company Limited. All right, now this is what we have according to the question. WR, so let me ensure that you are seeing my screen. All right, so according to the question, we have WR, and WR produces 3 products, A, B, and C. All right, and we have the selling price, we have material cost, labor cost, weekly demand, then we have machine hour per unit. Now, according to the question, machine time is a bottleneck. So this question, the bottleneck is given. It is not all questions that bottleneck are given. So we will look at another example where we will have to calculate the bottleneck ourselves. Okay. All right. So that is that. And it is 4,000 hours. Operating cost. Don't forget, I told you that operating expense, operating cost, they are all the fixed cost, right? Including labor cost. So even though labor is given here, the cost here includes labor cost per week. All right. So don't forget, these are also weekly. Okay. So direct labor workers are not paid overtime, and work is a standard 38-hour week. We are supposed to determine the optimum production plan for WCO and calculate the weekly profit that will arise from the plan. Now, I told you that if you want to see how you maximize your profit using throughput, there are about 5-6 steps you go to. You can make it 5 steps, you can make it 6 steps. You remember them? So from the last video, we said that number 1, identify the bottleneck. In this question, the bottleneck is given, and it is given as the machine time, and it is actually 4,000 hours. That is that. Do you remember step 2? Calculate throughput return per unit. Do you remember? Good. So throughput return per unit. All right. So how do we do that? So we have 3 products, right? We have product A, product B, and product C. Okay. We find our selling price, which is always given. Per unit is 2.80, 1.60, then 2.40. We less variable cost, right? And the variable cost, we said that in throughput, only material is variable. All right, so we less 1.20. All right, 0.60, 1.20. That means that my throughput return per unit, this one will be 1.6, right? This one will be 1.00, then 1.20. All right, so that is that. Do you remember step 3? Calculate the throughput return per unit per limiting factor or bottleneck. Don't forget, limiting factor is the same as bottleneck. So throughput return, of course, it is the per unit thing that you have done, per the bottleneck or limiting factor. All right, so whichever terminology that you will use. Okay, so we already have our throughput. So we have product A, product B, product C. In exam, we can actually continue with it, but I am teaching you. I need to teach you systematically. But in exam, since everything you have done already up to this point, because you are going to say throughput return per unit. You are going to use that figures 1.60, 1.00, then 1.20. Per limiting factor, what was the limiting factor? Limiting factor is machine hours or machine time. And so these are the machine time. So per the limiting factor. So basically, that is that. So what are you going to do? So given what you have here, so the limiting factor or the bottleneck, this one is 0.5, right? That is what you have. This one is 0.2 and this one is 0.3. So you are going to do per the limiting factor. All right. So that is that. How do you then go about and do? After you've stated it like this, now you go through your division. So throughput return per unit per the limiting factor, just go through the division. All right. So remember, this is per bottleneck, which means bottleneck is the denominator. So let's do 1.6.05. That gives me 3.2. Then 1 over 0.2. That gives me 5. Last one, 1.2 by 0.3. That gives me 4. So do you remember step 4? Step 4 was for you to rank them, right? So rank them. Which one will you think you will do first? So of course, this is the highest I can get. The principles of profitability. Do you remember the principle of profitability? How much you can get. So like I will do this first, second, then third. So that is the ranking. All right. So you can actually combine step 4 with step 3. So you rank them. All right. Pen is freezing again. So let's just write here, ranking. So basically that is that. Now the last thing is for us to allocate the resources as per the ranking. This one, there are so many ways you can do that, the allocation, but this is what I want to do for this question. So it means that given the way the things are, the product that I need to produce first will be product B, and I'll go to product C. Then if anything is left at all, I'll produce A. Have you seen that? All right. So in terms of the units, how many units can I produce for that? You could see that I can produce, if you look at it, if 4,000 hours, 4,000 units, I will need 0.2 hours. So 0.2 hours, remember my limiting factor in terms of hours. My limiting factor in terms of hours is 4,000 hours. Is that not it? Good. So it means that how many hours will I need to produce all the 4,000? So if I multiply the 4,000 by 0.2, it means, you have to divide, right? So if 1 unit is equal to 0.2, 4,000 will be equal to what? So something like this. If 1 unit machine hour that it will take is 0.2 hours, how much would 4,000 be? It's like, yeah, it's true. It's like a multiplication. Is that not it? So that is that. So it's like you are going to multiply. So it's 4,000 by 0.2. That will mean that I will need 800 hours, which is within this limit. So it means I can produce all the 4,000 units. All right. That is that, which demands the hours. So bottleneck per hour per unit. Bottleneck hour per unit is 0.2, which means I can do that. So that it means the total hours that I will need to do that is 800 hours. So that is that. So with the 800 hours, the benefit that I am getting from there, the throughput per hour, throughput return per hour. That's why we calculated the throughput return, this one, the throughput return. So if you check your principles, the steps that I gave you, so per bottleneck, and the bottleneck is in hours. So throughput return per bottleneck hour, that is 5, which means that my whole total throughput that I'm going to get, total throughput, is going to be this multiplied by this, and that should give me 4,000 cedis, an amount. Basically, that is that. Come to this one. I have already used 800 hours, so I'm left with 3,200 hours. Can I produce everything of product C? So it's a question you ask yourself. Now look at product C. So I have 5,000. I've seen that everything is by multiplication. That means that for product C, I'm going to need 1,005 hours if I do the if more less divided. So I will need 5,500 hours. How did I do that? Here is 0.3. All right. And it means that if I have remaining 3,200 hours and I need 5,005 hours, I can produce all the 5,000 units for this one. So that is that. And what is the throughput for that? It is 4 per hour. So by 4, that gives me 6,000. Meaning that at this point, if you add, you see that you have done 2,300 hours out of the 4,000. So it means that the rest of the hours can only be limited to this, and that is 1,007, because the total hours must be equal to 4,000 hours. And do you remember the bottleneck for this one? So if you do the if more less divide concept, I think that if you are from here to here was division, multiplication. So the same thing you are going to do, then it means the reverse will be a division. Is that not it? So if I take 1,007 and I divide it by 0.2, is it point? Yeah, 0.5 rather. This is it. So that A is 0.5. So let's see, 0.5. What I'm getting here means that I can only produce 3,400 units. And this is a balance. All right. It is the balance that I had. But I should be producing 4,000, but because of the limiting factor, I can only produce this. And so the throughput per hour that I can get from that one is what I had here, 3.2. So by 3.2, so 1,007 by 3.2, it gives me the total throughput of 5,440. Now, if I add everything, this plus 6,000 plus 4,000, that gives me 15,440. That is that. And that is the total throughput that I'm going to get. Basically, that is that. Now, the question wants me to find out, after I have done the plan, calculate the weekly profit. If you want profit, so this one is my total contribution. Okay, total contribution. Then I will less my fixed cost, total fixed cost. Here we don't separate between the types of overheads, whether production overheads, whether selling and distribution overheads, whatever. We combine all of them together. Principles of totality we learned in the previous video. So the cost has been given here as 10,880. So what is my overall profit per week? Profit per week is therefore given by minus 10,880. That gives me 4,000 560. So these are the process you go through to deal with throughput. Is it difficult? Very easy, right? So therefore, so we look at the next question that is on Happy Now Limited. Now, as you can see, so this is our illustration 5. Then it's Mr. David. Happy Now produces 3 types of dresses, X, Y, Z, using 3 machines. The following information is available for the product for 3 products for a period. So a period is very, very important. All right. Then we have the product XYZ, sales, direct material, direct labor, overheads. You know that the material is regarded as the only variable cost in this case. All right. Then you also have the direct labor and the overheads. We put them together as total cost per the principle that we have outlined before. Then we have the estimated sales in demand units. And we have here the machine hours per unit. Machine hours per unit. So if you come to bathing, which I think should be cutting, it should be cutting. Damn it. Oh my goodness. This thing keeps freezing. All right. Oh my goodness. Serious. So we have cutting 6, 2, and 1. Then you have stitching 9, 3, 1.5. The packing 3, 1, 0.5. Okay. And we have been asked to actually oh no. We have been asked to okay. That's it. We have been asked to identify the bottleneck. That's always our first step, the bottleneck process. In this case, you don't know which machine the bottleneck is. All right, so we know that for machine capacity for each department is 1,600 hours. So we want to see which one would there be the bottleneck because the departments are cutting, stitching, and packing. So, oh my goodness, this pen. So you will have to set up to find out the bottleneck. All right. So it says identify the bottleneck process. We know that the bottleneck is the limiting factor. Unfortunately, this pen is right. Let me see if I know. So we need to find the bottleneck. Okay, so bottleneck. Now you see that the machine capacity is 1,600 for each department. And the department we have cutting, we have stitching, then we have packing. All right. So we need to find the department that there will be bottleneck because this one, machine capacity for each department is 1,600. So this is the question type where you have to find the bottleneck. All right. So it is a multi-product. All right. Compared to the one we did earlier, where is that one? That will be illustration 2, right? Yeah. So this one, it told you that we have only one department and it was for 3 products, but just one department. But this one, we have 3 departments for also three products. Okay. So this is it. So now, when you come here, and we look at the theory and other things in the last video, right, where we had the past questions. Okay, so we have the departments and the products too are X, Y, and Z. Now watch this. This is per unit, machine hour per unit, and these are the products. All right. So if I want for cutting, for this side, it is going to be for cutting, I will need 6 hours to produce the 2,000 units, and by that, so it will be like 6 by 200. By that, I have 1,002. All right. The same thing for this, for cutting. So you have to, I just use this thing to show you how it will be. But for the others, you can go straight away. So here you have 2 multiplied by 200, that is 400. This one too is 1 multiplied by 200, then you have 200. All right, how did, well, was I doing that? So it was just 2 multiplied by 200. So you'll be doing the same thing for all of them. This is 1 by 200. So what about stitching? So you take stitching. This is 9 by 200, that's 1,008. 1 by 200, that's 600. 1.5 by 200, that's 300. Then here to be 600, 200, 0.5 by 200 is half, so 100. So when you total, see, all these things are in hours. So it means for this side, we will need 1,800 hours. For this job, we will need, that's like 2,700 hours. And this one is just 900 hours. But the limit is that we will need 1,006 here, 1,006 here, 1,006. That is what is available for each department. So you will see that here it goes over. There's a bottleneck of 200, as you can see. This one, there's a bottleneck of 1,100, and this one, there is no shortage at all. We can actually do everything. So which one will be your bottleneck activity? So you can see clearly, this is where the huge limitation is. All right, that is where the huge limitation is. So the bottleneck is this one. All right, so that is the A part of the question. We have identified that the bottleneck department is the stitching department. And don't forget, throughput is all about making maximization of a bottleneck activity or a bottleneck. So it means that we won't look at anything concerning X again. We won't look at anything concerning Y again. We are going to focus Z again. We are going to focus on only X. All right. So we are going to focus on only this side. The next thing, which is the B part, is asking us to do the throughput accounting ratio. Throughput accounting ratio. Do you remember the formula I gave you? If you don't remember, let's upstairs get the formula one more time. So you come here, throughput accounting ratio is given by throughput return per bottleneck hour. Per bottleneck hour. All over factory, that is the total factory cost, okay? So the total factory cost per bottleneck. And I told you that in the first video that this one will mean the throughput return per unit per bottleneck. Then the same thing too, you are going to do for this one. You are going to find the factory cost per unit per hour. All right, so that is that. So if you, and I gave you the breakdown for this. So throughput return, this is the ratio. So if you want the factory hour, because the throughput return, we will look at it from the perspective of doing your sales, and you take away your variable cost and everything, then you derive your throughput. All right, so let's go in there and look at that now. So if you look at your throughput return, how is it going to be? So the throughput return per the factory hour, so it should be per unit per factory hour. All right, or machine hour. We're going to set it up via product X, Y, oh, pen, X, Y, Z. All right, let's go back to our question. And you see this formula, that is what we're going to use. Throughput return. All right, so that is what we're going to use. So now let's go to the question and actually apply them to it. Okay, so we have our sales. This is 20, 15, and 10. Then we less our variable cost. Variable cost, what is variable cost? Material cost, right? That's the direct material. And that gives me 8, 5, and 4. That gives me contribution or throughput. All right, to be 12, 10, and 6. All right, so basically that is that. Now, this is normally our step 2, but when we do step 2, what do? We do throughput per unit per bottleneck, right? All right, so now the bottleneck is our focus now. What is the bottleneck? The bottleneck is the stitching department. All right, is the stitching department. So stitching department, so you come here with your bottleneck. This usually is our step 3, but I told you that in exam question, you can do it straight away. So here is 9, 3, and 1.5. All right, so that is that. So return per bottleneck, throughput return per bottleneck, that what we are looking for per bottleneck. How do we derive that? You remember that, right? So the first one, I do gives me 12 divided by 9. That gives me 1.33. The second one, 3.33. And this one is 4. So I've seen my throughput return per bottleneck. All right. Then the next one is the factory cost per bottleneck. And that one too, how do we go about it? You saw the formula that I gave you in the first video. So if you don't remember, let's just go up and fish it out. So this is it. So factory cost per hour is given here. All right. So the total factory cost per hour. So the formula is given by, so you have factory costs or cost per factory hour, which is given by your total factory cost. I told you factory cost is the same as the fixed cost, and it is any other cost aside your material, right? Divided by number of hours per bottleneck. Number of hours per bottleneck. Someone may say we've not done the ranking. Yes, it's true. So you can do this. Total hours available, all right, in the bottleneck. So you can do that. Or you can say number of hours per bottleneck available. All right. So I told you that it's fixed production cost, including labor, right? So now somebody may have said we've not done the ranking. Of course, if you were doing the ranking, which one will be first? This is 1, 2, then 3. Is that not it? But actually, if you check the question that we are solving, it says that we should use the throughput accounting ratio to do the ranking. So it, all right, and rank the product. Okay, so this is what we have. So once again, we have X, Y, and Z. All right. So what is the total factory cost? Total factory cost. Now, how do we derive our total factory cost? Factory cost is given. It is not us. So if you check the factory cost, this is it. You have 1, 2. So X is 7. That is 5 plus 2. Then this one will be 4. Then this one will be 3. Any other cost apart from the direct material is a factory cost. So this is it. That these are for per unit. But the units too, we know the units are 200, 200, 200. So the total factory cost, therefore, is going to be here. Will be so total factory cost. Here is going to be 1,004. I think here is 800. Then this one is 600. So we've seen the total cost. Then we need to be dividing them by the number of hours available in the bottleneck. So if you check your total here, total is 22,800, right? That is the total. All right, that is the total. So we are now going to do it as per the bottleneck. Now the bottleneck hours given by the question is 1,600. And so therefore, the cost, the factory cost per hour per bottleneck is going to give me 2,800 divided by 1,600. And that gives me 2,800 divided by 1,600. That is 1.75. So it means that cost per hour, cost per factory hour is 1.75, 1.75, 1.75. This is it. Now remember, we've been asked to do, we are doing the throughput accounting ratio. So if we pick for each of the departments, so this is multi-department we are looking at. Each of the departments, we are going to divide 133 here by that. So by what we have. So now my throughput accounting ratio for X, Y, and Z. I have my throughput return per factory hour. I had 1.33, right? And 3.33 and 4. That's what I had. Then the cost per factory hour or per the limiting factor is, I have 1.75. Yes, 1.75. So if I go in there to actually do the division, so 1.33 and 1.75, as the formula gives, here is going to be 0.76. This one will be 1.90 rounded, and this is 2.29. All right. So obviously, question asking me to do the ranking. This is 1. This will be 2nd. This will be the 3rd. Right. Basically, that is that. Then the question is asking me the C part to do the optimal production plan. The optimal production plan, you remember how we did it in the first example? In the first example, what we tried to do is to look at the unit. The department was just one. And so this is how we are going to go about it. We are going to allocate 1,600 to each of the units like the way we did. So we had products, right? Okay, we had that. And we also, the second part of what we did was to put in the units. The units. Then we did bottleneck. Resources. So per hours, per unit. Then we did the total hours. Okay. What did we do again? If I remember correctly, the next thing we did, I think the information we need, everything will be here. So let's just have this. Then we did the throughput per hour. Then the last thing we did was our total throughput. Okay. So we do realize that from here, in terms of doing everything, we saw that the hours are limited to 1,600 hours. We saw that it's limited to 1,600 hours. And so how many hours do we need to produce these machines? Okay, so what we do is that the product we have, the first one per ranking will be product Z, right? Then we have the next one is Y before the X. So that is that. How many products of X can we have to Z? We need to produce everything. Don't forget, we need to produce everything. Then the bottleneck hour for that was what? For product bottleneck hour. So this is the return. We have 6 here. All right. So basically that is that. That is the throughput for that. So and we can slot that one in to know how many, because the hours for that we had 6 here, and I think we did it upstairs. Yeah, so this is it. For packing is 600. 200 by, was it 200 by, no? Yeah, so if this one was, well, the units are 200. All right, and the bottleneck, was it 600? So 1.5. Oh, I think I saw, yeah, so the bottleneck is here, 1.5. All right, so that's the bottleneck hour is 1.5. So the total hours needed is 300. Okay, so that is what we saw after. So the total hours needed for that particular one, where was it? I think I saw it somewhere. Oh, no. Oh, we didn't multiply anything of such. Okay, so that is that. We have this multiplying this. So we can produce everything with the bottleneck hour of 1.5. And we have this. Then the total throughput per hour. Total throughput per hour is the next thing that we need to find. Now, we realize that the throughput, we need to find the throughput and multiply it by, the amount here. So the throughput, so don't forget, this is where we have the throughput as 6. All right. And so this is throughput. But per bottleneck hour, we have this. But the throughput here, if you check what we are doing, is throughput. So you have 6, right? Throughput, where are you? Okay, I think it's 4 rather. So because it's throughput per bottleneck, everything we are doing, yeah, is here. So it's 4. And so when you multiply this by this, you should be getting 1,002. That's the throughput per hour, per bottleneck hour. Let me put it like that. Throughput per bottleneck hour. So that is it. It's actually 4. Throughput per bottleneck return, or throughput return. Let me write it. All right. So that gives me 1,002. But it means that I have used 300 hours. So I'm left with 1,300 hours out of that. So the next one, Y. How many hours is Y going to request of me? How many hours? So let's go to Y, because the bottleneck for Y is how much? It's 3. So we have here 3. And the unit is 200. So let's see. 3 units of 200. That means I'll need 600 hours. If I add this thing up to here, what I have is 900 hours, which means that I'll be stuck with the remaining hours for this one to be like 700, right? But if you check the bottleneck for this one, how much was that? That was 9, right? Now with the 9, and so you could clearly see that if here has been 200, 200 by the 9, that giving me 1,008. But we can't have all the 1,008, so we are limited to this. We are limited to this. So how many can we produce out of the 9? So we have 700, and it is 9, right? It gives me 77.78. So in terms of units, we can't do points. So let's say 78 units. All right, so that is that. So we will have our 1,006 hours. What was the bottleneck throughput per bottleneck hour for this one? That was 3.33 we had, right? It's 3.33. No, so this is 6. Yeah, so here is 6, here is 10. But for here, it's 3.33. Then here will be 1.33. So let's do our slot there. So here, the 3.33 it was, right? So what I have here is 1998. Oh, 3.33 multiplying 600. Yeah, that's it. 1998, or proxy can round it. I think it's because of the 33, because we had 3 something, and that will be multiplying 600, and that is like proxy 2,000. If you use the figure that you have on your calculator to do the multiplication, it is actually 2,000, because it was 3.333333. So if you use that to multiply, you have 2,000. But if you use 3.3, you have 1998. You are not wrong. Just you can push it in. Then here too, I think it was 1.33333333. So 1.3333, like that, multiplying 700. I have 933. All right, so that is what I have. 933. 0.333333, like that. All right. So basically that is that. So you can use, let me use the 1998 so that you don't get confused. And here to 933. All right. So basically that is that. And when you total this, how much are you getting? You have 933 plus 1998 plus 1200. I have 4131. 4131. Don't forget, the last thing to do is to less your expenses. Cost. And the total cost, I think we had it somewhere. Was it 2,800? What was it? Yeah, total cost is 2,800. And so we will have minus 2,800 gives me 1331. Basically, that's it. All right. So this is it. In the next video, what we are going to do is that we will pick a CA pass question and we will add a theoretical bit of that. All right. So the advantages, the disadvantages, and everything. All right. So ladies and gentlemen, basically that is that. Anyway, another way of identifying this bottleneck, for example, this one that we did, is a shortcut. And the shortcut is just for you to add these ones up. So when you add these ones, you have 9. When you add these ones, you have like, that would be like 13.5. When you add these ones, you have like 4.5. And that tells you that you need more in this one. You need more hours. So the identification of the bottleneck can be easier from there. All right. So that is that. So watch out for the part 3. So step 1, identify the bottleneck. If you have multi-department, this is how you can go about it. All right. So then you do the throughput accounting. The throughput accounting ratio, just go on with your step 2, throughput per unit, which you find here. Then you do that unit per bottleneck. You bring in the bottleneck so that you know your bottleneck. This is our bottleneck. You find it. All right. Then you are doing your throughput per factory hour because we are asked to do the ratio. You have to do for the factory hour too. Because the factory cost is this one, or any other cost apart from material cost. Then to find the total, you need to multiply each of them by the product. You get this, you have your total. Now to get the number of hours available in terms of the bottleneck, as you found this one, you know that you are limited with 1,800. You per what you have here, you will need 2,800 hours, but you are limited to this. So per the bottleneck gives this, you can now calculate your throughput ratio, rank them, use it to determine your optima. All right. So basically, that is that. Even in terms of the optima, you just have to be subtracting, then you end up with this. All right. So basically, that is that. So see you in the last part where we pick another past question and solve and deal with how it happens in public sector, how and what are the advantages and disadvantages of it. So thank you very much and see you in part 3 of our trip.